Good morning, everyone. I've been told that some of these live videos skip a little bit while I'm walking, so I'm running just a little bit behind where I want to be to start the live off, and it's pretty windy, so I'm gonna wait to start talking here till I get down to my little spot. That way the video doesn't cut in and out, so hang tight with me for just a moment. In the meantime, just enjoy the beautiful scenery and the wind that's starting to pick up. I'm almost there. I'll get to my spot here so I'm not cutting in and out. Sail. Whew. Almost there. Ooh. Hear that? That tree's creaking. Almost there. We're on the catwalk now. I could have just waited to start it, but why not allow everyone to come in here, give them a chance to get settled. I'll get to my spot, and then hopefully we won't be cutting in and out of the live. I hope it's not too breezy. Hopefully you'll be able to hear this all right. Okay, here we are. Here we are. Oh, it's backwards. The crow's nest. Okay, wow. Good morning to you all. What a night. If you haven't been following along with me through this, family up from Florida, and so we all got together and had a great time last night. A lot of fun, karaoke, and some drinking, and some good food, and so enjoyed myself quite a bit last night. But you know what that means? A long night. So we were up for quite a while, but man, was it fun. We sure had a blast. Great conversation, great music. There's quite a few clips and pictures. I'll get everybody's permission today to see, and we'll go through stuff and see if there's anything that we can share that would just kind of make you smile and kind of see what we did. But definitely a lot of fun. Before I get started on today's topic about relationships, the 6 types of relationships, I want to address something. I've had quite a few messages come through, which actually was very surprising to me, how many people reached out, specifically about my belief system. As some of you know, and probably most of you don't know, I've gone to Bible school for 3 years, and I studied in the ministry. I was looking to get into missions, possibly being a pastor. There was different avenues that I was researching to understand religion, relationship, Jesus Christ, all of that stuff. And what ended up happening with me is the more questions I asked, the the least amount of answers I got. So in my opinion, it was a lot easier to hear a message and feel good about it and go with it. The way my mind works is I like to break everything apart piece by piece to understand. And in some scenarios, that's not a great thing. That's not a great attribute. But just like anything, there can be positives and negatives with thought patterns or behaviors or, the way we think. For me, it came to a point in my life where things began to break down and my mind began to open up to the possibility that maybe my belief system in certain things isn't quite right. So what I want to clarify is, first of all, thank you to all of you who've reached out to me to encourage me specifically in the Christian faith. But I do want to make clear that I am agnostic. And what that means is I don't believe specifically that there is not a God. I'm not denying the existence of a God or a heavenly being or anything like that. But I'm also not acknowledging it either. So I neither deny nor acknowledge. What I do is I take a step back and I gain as much information and knowledge and understanding as I can, and I put the pieces together and I do what makes sense for me. And the reason that's important to me is because I understand there's so many things that we will never be able to explain in this lifetime. There's so many things that we may never get to the bottom of. But one thing I don't want to do is become so narrow-minded on one thing that I miss something, okay? And when I was following the faith that I was for years, for decades, it put me in a category of this is the way, the only way. And since then, my beliefs have changed to that may not be the way, that may not be the only way, but it may. I'm neither denying nor accepting, but I'm just open and I'm learning. And I want you, you who are watching, to understand these videos and this channel is all about my story and some of the things I've learned along my journey. If they don't relate to you, then you set that aside, right? I think it was once said, you eat the meat and spit out the bones, okay? The stuff that works for you and applies for you, awesome. If it doesn't, don't let it steer you away from not watching or being turned off by these videos. If these videos don't feel good to you because of my background, take what you can out of them for good, because I'm not preaching anything. I'm not pushing anything on you. I'm not here to teach a religion or a thought or a way. All I'm simply doing is giving information, basic psychology on humans that have existed for time and time again, for however long we go back, information that has helped them be a better person, right? So when we talk about the 5 love languages, or we talk about the 6 basic human needs, I'm excluding anything with religion or relationships or energy systems or any of those kinds of things, because that's not applicable to this. What is applicable is the belief system. And the belief system is an act of certainty that you are certain that something is true or exists. And if you are certain, do not let anyone take that away from you, because that's your experience. And frankly, no one can take that away from you. So I'm not here to take away. I'm here to add, and I'm here to encourage. So, politics aside, religion aside, these videos are to help encourage you and to help you grow based on my own vlogging, my own journey, and the things that I've come across and worked for me. So just kind of a little disclaimer about things. But again, I still appreciate people reaching out to me and sharing with me their thoughts on things. One of the things that I teach is ask questions. Anytime you have a belief system, ask questions. It's so important to be introspective, because when you're introspective, you look inside yourself and you say, how did I get this belief system? Right? Whatever the belief system is about relationships, people, about love, about why you do the things you do, or even about your God or what you follow. Always question it. And there's nothing wrong with that, because when you question it, it builds a stronger relationship with that belief, or it starts to break it down. And you know what? Not all belief systems are beneficial. So it's important to really know your belief system and why you have that belief system. All right. So with that being said, I wanted to talk to you today. We're on the topic of relationships. I want to talk about the 6 kinds of relationships. And there's one one specifically that I want to talk about that's really fascinating to me. It adds a lot of science to the picture. And so hopefully it will help you kind of see things a little bit differently, and then you take that information and do what you will with it. But 6 types of relationships. Number 1, platonic. A platonic relationship is a relationship that is a close friend, an acquaintance, usually without any kind of sexual activity. It's just a neutral type of relationship. These can be simple friendships. These can be acquaintances, coworkers, things like that. The second type of relationship are romantic relationships. That's something that you would have, obviously, with a partner, somebody you feel very close with and have sexual feelings for. It can be feelings of love and attraction. And this is the one that has a little bit of a sciencey spin to it, which I found very fascinating. Have you ever asked yourself the question, what is love exactly? Why do we feel love? It's a very interesting concept. Is it something that's just supernatural, We're created with it, or we're born with it, or whatever your take on things are. What is love exactly? In the scientific realm, love can be explained through hormones being released. Some people don't release these hormones as much, and therefore they may not feel as much love. If you've ever heard of somebody being asexual, they are not, they don't have those deep feelings of love and connection in a certain way. The same is true with all different kinds of love. There may not be a feeling. It could be because of trauma. It could be because of emotional damage. It could be, past experiences. But one thing that we do know from science is that the hormone that's released, oxytocin, is the same bonding hormone that's released when a woman breastfeeds her baby. And that bonding hormone makes you feel close. It makes you feel connected. It makes you feel love. And that's so important with a newborn, a baby, or even young children. Women can breastfeed for very long periods of time. But that hormone release connects with that child that needs to be taken care of and needs to be, taught and kept and raised. And so that bonding hormone is so important. You also release oxytocin every time you have an orgasm. And so I know this talk is a little bit different than where we've gone, but it's important to understand that every time that you have an orgasm or you have sex with someone, some people might say, well, you give them a piece of you. In a way, you really do, because you release that hormone oxytocin, and now you feel bonded to that person. That's not the only chemical that's released. In fact, sex is more potent, and an orgasm is more potent than cocaine. crack cocaine. It also releases dopamine and serotonin, and sometimes in large amounts, like a dumps the hormones into the brain. And so the brain then feels bonding, it feels love, it feels connected. And so in the scientific realm, that's where some of this stuff comes from. So it's important to understand where you're releasing that and who you're giving that to. So I thought that very fascinating, and we'll talk a little bit later on that because there's another hormone that's released. In fact, I think I'll go ahead and talk about it now. It was a Harvard study that talked about long-term commitments as well, that the hormone vasopressin, which has to do with your arteries and your cardiac health, is also released during certain times in relationships, which can bond, which can lead to feelings of closeness and long-term commitment type things. So it's interesting because if a person is lacking those, then that would be a whole nother scenario. They may feel love differently. They may have problems with connection. They may feel problems with being bonded to people. I really hope this isn't too windy. It's really breezy today. But either way, we'll go live again tonight at 5:30. If you're with me on Facebook, and we'll go over all this stuff again. It's kind of fun to go over this again. Have a little bit of entertainment, have some fun together, some questions and answers, and then just kind of brush up on these topics again. The third type of relationship is codependency. And codependency is different than dependency. Dependency is where you would feed off of each other, right? You give love, they give love back. It's a cyclic relationship that brings health to each one of you. So when you give, you receive, and vice versa. Codependency was actually a relationship I was in for 14 years with my ex-wife. And it was where one person is the giver. And I'm not saying this with an egotistic, I had my own issues in that relationship. We were both toxic for each other. But in that relationship, she was very codependent on me and needed me. She needed a rock. She needed someone always there for her. If I wasn't there, she needed me to get there and to take care of her. And that's fine to a certain extent. But if you're not receiving that back and only one person is giving, I used to say kind of facetiously, it was a give and take relationship. I gave and she took. Now, that's not very nice, but in a way there was truth to that. Okay, like I said, I was no angel in that relationship. I take full responsibility for my actions and the way my belief systems and the way I treated her and all kinds of things. But eventually was able to get out of that knowing that that was a toxic relationship that was only causing problems for me. Well, it was her too, but I knew that I needed to get healthy. In fact, one of the things that I took on was I changed my belief system about selfishness. And I realized that it's okay to be selfish. And I call it self-care. You need to take care of yourself. I've said this before, I heard this, it's recycled information, but somebody once said that when you're in a plane, when the pressure drops, you don't put everybody else's mask on, you put your mask on first. That way you can be of help to everybody else around you. If you don't, you'll be no good to anybody else. So that's codependency. Then there's also casual relationships. Casual relationships often involve sex or sexual acts without a commitment. So those are the folks in your life that are sometimes early on boyfriend, girlfriend, or they're relationships that you have deemed that you enjoy this person and they enjoy you and you're able to share intimacy, but without a long-term commitment. Maybe it's that you're still young. Maybe it's that you're older. Maybe it's that you don't value that you're more of a independent person. You don't need the commitment or don't want the commitment. There's nothing wrong with some of these relationships. It's just understanding that these exist and we all have different types of relationships in our life. And then there's also open relationships. Open relationships are more of non-monogamous relationships where you have consensual relationships with other people, where you both agree that you want to have other romantic relationships in your life. And that one has a wide variety of ways you can go with it, but it generally comes with stipulations. You and your partner agree within the boundaries of your own relationship what's healthy and what's not healthy. Because there's a lot, that is a more advanced relationship. You have to have trust, you have to have commitment to each other, you have to be able to follow your boundaries, and it can be a very strenuous, difficult relationship if you don't have that great communication between each other. And then there is, last but not least, the toxic relationships. And those are obviously unhealthy relationships that cause harm emotionally, cause harm physically, cause harm psychologically. Things like gaslighting the other person or making them feel bad or manipulating. Those are the kinds of relationships you really never need in your life. Codependency can happen. It can be fixed. It can be repaired. Both people can give to the relationship, but toxic relationships are very difficult. Those can be relationships that you really may need to consider getting rid of. Just depends on how long you've known this person. But those can be friendships, those can be coworkers and spouses. But I bring this up to you to just understand what those relationships are and just to evaluate what kind of relationship you have. And one thing is that we all understand, basic principle, things are always changing. One thing is for certain in life, death and taxes, okay? But one thing is for certain, there will always be change. From every cell to your body changing, your blood cells every 3 months dying and being recycled, to your physical characteristics, to the way you think, everything changes. The environment, the world around us, death, life, it's all changing. So relationships will change. You say, well, you're not the same person I was, when I met you. Duh. Of course you're not. And you won't be. Expect a change. Expect to have new experiences. Expect to have different things in life that you love now that you didn't love then. Expect for your love languages to change. What once made you excited and was fun may no longer be that anymore. So when I talked about my the 5 love languages in one of my podcasts, taking that periodically, that test, and evaluating what is your love language, because it will change with everything else. I think that does it. I think I covered everything I wanted to on my list for this morning. And so I'll hang out here with you for just a few minutes if there's any questions or comments on things. Hopefully this video wasn't too windy. It's another beautiful day. Even though it's windy, it's so warm out, which is really weird. I don't know. It says it was only 55 degrees, but it feels like it's almost 70 degrees out here. But it's just because the sun is so warm. But I sure do enjoy coming out here. It's so beautiful, and it starts my day off well. I woke up. I don't think I went to bed till about 1:30. Too much fun with my family. And really, can you have too much fun? Nah. But woke up at 7 and prepared and was excited to see you guys and get this video out to you. And hopefully it inspires you today. Hopefully this video finds you well. And I hope tonight that you'll be able to join me for the live when I do questions and answers, and we just kind of relax and just shoot the shit. Talk about anything and everything. I do like to talk about psychology, but honestly, anything can go. But tonight at 5:30, we'll do that again, and we'll cover all this information over, maybe in a little more depth, depending on what the flow of things are. Either way, you can expect to be entertained, and I appreciate you guys. So As always, I love you, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care.